Hey, Dave.
Anupam,
Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We are, 2 days in to Salt Lake City here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good time?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah?
Very productive.
Empty streets?
The streets are quiet, surprisingly.
Quiet.
Yeah, for a city.
You can get around easy?
You can get around easy. You can cut across the streets.
Setting's not bad?
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Well, this will live long after, but I'm excited to sit down with you and have a chat.
Thank you.
Dave, you and I spend a lot of time together. I'm fortunate to be able to do that and call you a friend. So thank you for making time to sit down.
Appreciate that, same.
Look, what we have talked about over the last couple of days, and we're all kind of living through, is we're in a tricky world. We're in a tricky environment generally on an overall basis, not just our industry, but the business world at large. And within that, obviously, our industry is not immune to it. It is impacted by a number of different factors that are at play. I talked about many of those yesterday. But I really want to take this time to sort of understand from you, coming from the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
I won't make jokes about that.
It's okay.
But kidding aside, what are you? I mean, Weichert is one of the most important players in the RMC space in particular. You have a lot of clients that work with you on different phases of their life cycle, different industries, different verticals, different sizes, et cetera. What are you hearing and what are you seeing from your perspective at the top of Weichert Workforce Mobility as the 2 main trends that are playing out? One is just fine too. But what is, for you, the biggest trend playing out in our industry?
Yeah, I think companies in general are trying to adapt to all the things that you mentioned. The business environment is very fluid. There's a lot of change. There are economic factors that are presenting themselves. There are opportunities like technology and AI that are reshaping businesses in present and future.
Right.
And companies are preparing for those future changes. So as they look at mobility patterns, as they think about classes of jobs that will perhaps change over time, I think those trends are starting to shape their way into conversations within organizations about how and where to mobilize people. I think there is great opportunity in a lot of it. I believe if you go back historically and look at the jobs that existed in the 40s and the 50s compared to today, some 6 out of 10 probably didn't even exist back then, right? And we'll see the same type of transformation as some of these tools start to take place. But in the short term, it's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And so when we think about trends, I look at the things that will matter for mobility in the long term. And the one trend that I'm really focused on right now is the value or impact of mobility. I think that we often look at the cost elements, the changes, again, that are happening because of tech. But at the same time, I don't want our talent conversation to slide off the table because I think it's really important. And as local employment pools grow, which I expect to happen more frequently, you think about some of the reductions that have happened in large corporations this week and in previous months, they're going to create larger employment pools. And that may mean less mobility in some of those places. But there's more value to mobility than just filling roles.
Right.
There's the talent equation, there's career pathing, there's the impact of great leaders and how being able to mobilize that talent around the world makes those companies stronger. So I think our models have to get tighter in talking about that and helping our clients to see and recognize how to articulate that internally.
So that's huge. That's exactly what I have been trying to push for. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing it from your position. Because it's not easy to do.
No.
That's not being done.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about wanting to bring ROI to the conversation.
Yes.
How the heck do you even get to that?
Yeah.
Right? And then once you've gotten to it, how do you help your client, the corporate mobility professional, actually take that further within the organization?
Correct.
Because they're experiencing pressure too.
Yes.
Right? So it's
for
no one in our industry is immune at this time. So
Correct.
Can you spill the beans on a little bit on how you're approaching it?
Yeah. I'll tell you candidly, we're not talking about ROI. Yeah. So dropping the terminology that we've wrestled with in this industry forever, which is, has been return on investment. I think that most of the industry identifies that with historical discussion around assignments, international assignments specifically, right? That's the holy grail everybody's trying to solve.
Right. The most expensive kind.
Correct, which
Yeah.
is also what we do the least of these days, right? A lot of
Interesting.
perm moves.
Right.
And why should the value of mobility be defined only by international moves, right? There's
Right.
value in domestic relocation within the United States or domestic in any country. So I think that it's really important to change the narrative, and
Yeah.
that's what we're working on internally. I've been thinking about and working on models to come up with new frameworks to identify a better way to maybe articulate that. I think it's out there.
Yeah.
I think it's available, and I think it's all how we look at it. But it only happens when you move away from the general premise that we're filling jobs. Because filling jobs is a very tactical perspective.
Right.
It's necessary.
It is.
It's real. We all have to do that in our companies. But talent mobility, or the conversation we've always had in this industry about mobilizing talent, is
Yeah.
much more, in my opinion, than just filling jobs.
Yeah.
It's part of filling. Filling jobs
Right.
is important, and it's part of it. But there's more to it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a broader talent strategy, right? Which is
Correct.
acquisition, development, and retention.
Exactly. And
So-
culture.
And culture, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, huge. That's interesting. So, but how do you think that that is playing out? I mean, I don't know if you have observations on this, and how do you think it's going to continue to play out in a increasingly virtual work environment?
Yeah.
We don't, we're not, a lot of companies are mandating back to work. We're not 100% virtual. We're not 100% in office. We're effectively in a hybrid, and I think
Yes.
we will remain in a hybrid environment, but that is much more virtual operations than ever before
Right.
in the history of
No
the
question.
workforce. What impact does that have on mobility?
Yeah, I think it's a really great question, because it's one that doesn't get enough attention. When you think about remote work
Yeah.
and you think about hybrid, right? The impact zone of people working together is lessened regardless of the tools and technologies that everyone leverages. And the importance of talent is going to dictate that the people that you place responsibility upon to lead
Yeah.
have to be really good at working in those kinds of environments.
Right.
Not just they work from somewhere else, but they're effective in how they work.
Right.
Especially in the leadership ranks, where people are impacting larger parts of the organization. So as companies start to identify their talent profile, I think there'll be more discussion about, we're willing to let someone work from Florida because we can't get them to Dallas, and start to hopefully focus on how effective will they be from Florida, and is this the right decision to make?
Right.
Or do we keep looking for talent elsewhere because we want people who can do this either together in person more effectively, or we've chosen someone because they're uniquely qualified to do this from Florida.
Right.
And those people do exist. And
Yeah.
I think those companies that are struggling sometimes with making concessions, like we'll allow you to work more remotely or hybrid, I think they do that because they know the value of that talent. In some cases, those people don't relocate. Those
Right.
don't become moves for our industry, but they also could be good moves for their company.
Right.
Good strategies to keep certain people because they're really
Interesting.
good at that.
Huh.
Yeah,
Makes
we'd
me
like,
wonder-
we'd like the move,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. but
Right.
Sometimes that is the right thing for the company.
Yeah, in that kind of an environment, for what it's worth, from all of my experience, I've seen, even if you have that employee in Florida, depending on what they're doing, if it's something really tactical, like a contact center
Sure.
worker or something like that, maybe you don't need it. But part of the reason I asked that question was because you talked about culture.
Yeah.
And to build culture, you need to bring people together. I mean, obviously, we're experiencing that here right now
Right.
with having
That's
brought
right.
1,400 people together. The magic that creates,
Yeah.
the camaraderie, the innovation, the
Yes.
epiphanies, the spark of ideas that
Yes.
happens can't be matched. It
No.
cannot happen virtually. And so, but that basically makes more agile kind of mobility, in my mind, more important
Yes.
and more relevant. So it's not like
Right.
you didn't get the permanent move, you didn't get the assignment, long-term assignment move, but you're getting a different kind of a movement happening.
Yes.
And perhaps no secrets needed to be spilled here, but perhaps
Yeah.
you and your team are looking at how
Yeah.
do you support that kind of
100%.
mobility as well,
yeah,
right?
I think our whole industry has to pivot to alternatives that create the tools that companies need to be successful. And this is going to be one of
love
those.
that.
This is going to be one of those, undoubtedly, because for all of the companies that are taking a hard line on return to office,
Yeah.
there are always pockets and patches within that those rules don't necessarily apply in our experience.
Yeah.
There are also companies that have not embraced a full return to office, or maybe in between and a 3-day. And so you do have these changes that have to be worked through where for the company's culture to be as successful as possible, it needs to find other ways to get people together. I think there's a natural need for people to connect in different ways, and most honest leadership would say, despite how they might operate, they would rather have the people together.
Right. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit because we've been talking about people and culture. Mm-hmm. You mentioned right at the outset AI and technology. The biggest question in facing the whole world at the moment is what the impact of AI technology is going to be on the workforce. I'll leave that crystal balling for someone else, though I have a lot of points of views, and I know you do too.
Yep.
But let's kind of just focus on what, look, AI and tech is being talked a lot about. AI is being talked about in every context. It's being talked about here in our industry, it's being talked about in the conference. What, from your perspective, what is the tangible use of AI or application of AI within our industry, and specifically within your organization, that is actually meaningfully creating value, as opposed to just window dressing of like, oh yeah, I have AI.
Right.
Like, so what?
Yeah.
Can you describe something that creates value within,
absolutely.
within the organization and for the ecosystem?
Yeah, without doubt. The value of AI is in our space, right? Because it is a quantum discussion if you wanted to broaden it out. But in our space,
let's keep it here.
The value of AI is in the tangible, to your point. And so we set AI goals last year and this year to address initiatives for three constituents: our customer, our client, and our colleagues. So we want an internal, a customer-facing and a client-facing solution each year, and in some cases multiples in those if we can get some quick hit items and so on. But by addressing that, we're trying to make sure that our roadmap covers the importance of raising our productivity, our availability of our counseling teams to be more accessible and valuable to our customer.
Yeah.
We want the customers to be able to do things they could otherwise not do, maybe on their own, or have more freedom to experience our tech and do other things. And then we also want our clients to have insights and vision into their programs that it makes it easier for them to work with us. So an example of something tangible would be we've taken our agent solutions through Salesforce into a model where we've taken all of the data that represent the context of a move, when they were initiated, where they are in the process, notes in the system, exceptions, all of these things. And at a click, a client can instantly draw down through our agent bot an executive summary of the move. That's something that for 30 years clients have actually done in reality, is they get an escalation or a concern, or they're just checking in on a VIP move or whatever it might be. And they want a quick shot at what's happening, not necessarily to call a counselor and get an update, or to go through, worse than that, and actually start hunting around a file and reading notes and stringing together a story. That's a really practical example of how technology, particularly using agents, can bring that information in an instant, in a tangible, valuable way to the desktop. We've done some work recently with turning client policies into podcasts using AI technologies, where just like you and I are speaking, we've taken a policy and fed it into the system, and in a very lively, not robotic, and powerful way, someone can take in the key elements of their policy and also present that policy in a positive light, making sure that they hear about the positive benefits and the things that might be unique to that particular client's offering. And you can do that while you're on the treadmill or while you're driving, and sort of avoid that digesting 30 pages, or even if a client has a brochure style policy, which might be 5, 6 pages, it's still a lot to digest at first glance. So those are practical things. Obviously we have other projects and initiatives that are going on around AI, but when you ask about the tangible, those are tangible things that clients have reacted well to. That's
really cool. But I have so many questions, but the podcasting, just to be clear, is your client, the corporation, putting out their policy for consumption by their employees.
Correct.
That might be moving. Okay.
That's
I mean, that's amazing.
At a click, right? You get up in the morning.
That's client service.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And it's really engaging. The first time I listened to it, you go in with some skepticism.
Yeah.
And I listened to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm actually, that's what I'm wondering
yeah,
right now.
I listened to it.
Is it natural?
Absolutely. It was eerily natural.
Really?
Even with
but engaging,
even
like
with the
policy discussion?
like you just said, really, and that's the amazing part about it. And
cool.
And it's come a long way in a very short time.
Interesting.
Within a year, those tools have become incredibly human-like.
Yeah, well, the progress is absolutely staggering. But the other thing that I really like is you're not just talking about customer-facing applications, which
right.
the examples you gave are pretty compelling. Yeah. They're not like, yeah, go to the chatbot and ask a question and you get a response back.
Correct.
It's more proactive than that.
Yes.
But what I also really like is you're talking about applying it internally for your operations to drive more efficiency within your organization so that you can invest in these experiences.
Exactly.
And value creators going forward.
No question.
That I think is an imperative for our industry, right?
Yes.
Because it's not like there's a lot of free money floating around in our industry. There isn't, right?
No,
everyone's
it's a
budget's tight.
It's a necessity.
Where do you find that funding? You can find that funding by driving more efficiency within your own operation.
Yes.
Let's maybe switch gears for a second. What are you, as you look into 26, what are you, and be real with me, what are your concerns that might keep you up at night?
Sure.
And if you prefer, you can start with what are you most excited about looking into 26?
Yeah, yeah.
I bet it's not like a massive snapback in volume. I would assume it's not that.
No, no, I don't think so. I wish that were the answer.
That wouldn't be real.
Yeah, that wouldn't be real.
That wouldn't be real.
Look, I think the opportunity for companies who've successfully invested in technology, prepared for the changes that are coming, and are ready to adapt to new demands and requirements in mobility will fare well in 26 and beyond. We believe we're one of those companies, and we think that we have readied ourselves to be able to meet the demands and the change that's coming. And that change is largely driven around how people want to meet the experience. Yeah. We can dictate what we think is a great customer experience. Knowing what your customers and clients need and addressing that is a great customer experience. So a lot of our designs in 26 and things that we're actively working on right now, whether it be lump sum tools, whether it be how people engage with something like a policy, are geared toward making that experience much more fluid and more comfortable and valuable. So I'm excited about seeing those come to fruition, both the things we've done already and then those that are on our roadmap. What am I concerned about? What keeps me up at night? I would say that the industry has had a decline in activity. You know, you've talked about the broader context of mobility. There have been great positions put forward in articles and published about the elasticity, in particular in the U.S. around relocation and how that's changed. People are more hunkered down. A whole host of reasons, as we know, from real estate rates to from mortgage rates to real estate costs and many other things in between. And now job uncertainty, which is the the new topic of the day, but probably one of the most pronounced, right? Because it affects everything. So I'm concerned about economic slowdown, and companies are not necessarily making capital investments and expenditures in the same way. Lots of tech investment, certainly around AI spend, but not the type of infrastructure and expense investment that sometimes fuels mobility. And so I think people are kind of holding their cards close, and companies are being very cautious about that. So yes, I am concerned about less mobility, which means that the industry has a lot of players and the pie is smaller. So we've got to each distinguish what's unique about us.
Interesting. So given that, the question that pops in my head that I'll ask you, and I'm putting you in the spot here, but if I were one of your team members, or if I were one of your supplier partners, and I hear that, it's scary.
Yeah.
Combination of technology, driven efficiency, lower volumes. What does that mean for me? At Weichert or with Weichert, what is that like? What do you say to them?
Yeah,
what do you tell your team?
We do talk about those things. We talk about reality. Right now, we have automated certain financial disbursements, processes that were more cumbersome or people intense. In some of those cases, we have picked up efficiencies. We've offset those with attrition. We have people retire. We have people who relocate, leave for various reasons. We've been very carefully constructing those solutions.
Got it.
And that may not solve every single situation. Certain jobs and roles may change permanently.
Yeah.
That's a fact. People understand that if you're honest with them. But there is also a lot of opportunity to reshape and move people within the organization. And I think the same is true with our supplier partners. Our model has always been to have less than more. We don't contract our relationships as broadly perhaps as we could with our volume or as maybe others, because we want each move to be more valuable to them, because when something goes sideways, we're more valuable to them. And so that's one of the ways that we've contained that risk over the years, and in a lower volume environment it's even more important to have less relationships than more. But with that, we've created great partnerships. We refer to our supplier partners as partners because they do the great volume of our moving activity more than we do.
Yeah.
And so those partnerships are critical to us, and we want to invest in those, drive more activity into those, not less. So less is more is kind of the headline.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I mean, I think in your and my conversations that we have ongoing, yes, there's a lot of challenges, but as we had our keynote speaker yesterday, you heard her say, within that lies the opportunity. So while it may feel like, oh, this is not good news and these are not great headlines, well, that's what allows you to rethink how we've been doing things and what we've been doing and why we've been doing them. And I know you're very focused on that, so I love that. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you one last question, which I did not tell you I was going to ask you, but
What a surprise.
hey, you know me.
I do.
Tomorrow's Halloween.
Yes.
If you were to, I don't know if you dress up or not, but if you were to dress up, what would you dress up as? And to give you a couple extra seconds to think about it, I'll tell you I'll be a sleeping giant.
Wow. Okay.
Tired from this week.
I am quite certain.
Yeah.
I've not been a Halloween guy.
No.
Over the years.
All right.
So you've hit me with the stumper of stumpers.
There you go. Okay, fine. If you were to dress up as a rock star from the 70s, who would you be?
Now you're talking.
There we go.
Now we're talking.
I know your speed.
I would probably say Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Guitar slung down low.
There you go.
Had the perfect rock star hair.
Hair, okay.
The hair.
All right.
Yeah. Played a little sloppy, but it was always good.
Nice.
Unique tone.
Oh, I love
I'm
Led
a guitar
Zeppelin.
player, so that's where I would go.
All right, awesome. Well, you've earned my respect even more. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Love that conversation.
Appreciate
Look forward to many more.
Always.
All right.
Thanks
Dave.
so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right. Is that all right?